Sundin, they go up the net. Sundin scores! It's Sundin!
What if the single most important moment in modern Leafs history wasn't a jaw-dropping goal or a blockbuster trade, but a soft-spoken Swede politely turning one down? In February 2008, Matt Sundin could have chased a cup elsewhere. Instead, he shrugged. A captain finishes what he starts, and stayed in a city that hadn't lifted silver since 1967. That quiet defiance crystallized everything about him. The first European ever drafted #1, the first to captain an original 6 team for a decade, and somehow, the guy nobody feared, yet everybody followed. How did he get there? Let's trace the unlikely rise from frozen trees in suburban Bromma to the moment he changed an entire franchise's heartbeat. Long before NHL arenas roared his name, 11-year-old Mats trained under a pine needle roof. He wedged pucks between frost-slicked trunks, forcing his hands to maneuver through gaps barely wider than a stick blade. It wasn't speed or flash he chased, it was control, protecting the puck like treasure while scanning for passing lanes nobody else saw. His father, Sam, a blue-collar accountant who'd built a backyard rink by floodlight, had only one rule: hockey was a privilege earned by solid grades. That balance, brains and bruises, would become Sundin's blueprint. By 14, still smaller than the local bruisers, he considered quitting. Coach Peter Nilsson countered with a gamble, moved the shy winger to center, letting his panoramic vision run the offense. In the very first game, Matt scored 4 and assisted 3, but what stuck with Nilsson was a quieter scene. Sundin gathering missed passes after the horn, rehearsing them alone until the rink manager killed the lights. Talent was obvious, obsession was rarer. Quebec's decision to call Matt Sundin at the podium in 1989 rattled the old guard. No European had ever been drafted first overall, and scouts still whispered that Swedes were too polite for North American grind. Yet instead of bolting across the Atlantic, Sundin treated that historic selection as leverage to finish his master's course in winning back home. He told Djurgården's GM, "Give me one more year. Let's defend the Lamette." He did exactly that, piling up 76 points in 40 games, then torching the playoffs en route to a championship repeat. Off ice, he shadowed team executives, dissecting TV rights deals and salary arbitration cases while teammates hit nightclubs. He even took English business classes in Stockholm after morning practice, mapping phrases like signing bonus and restricted free agent long before most rookies learned where to pick up their first paycheck. By the time Quebec brass begged him to report, Sundin was 15 pounds stronger, spoke 3 locker room languages, and had already learned why payroll spreadsheets matter just as much as power play setups. He wasn't just entering the NHL, he was arriving armed with a blueprint. Touchdown in French-speaking Quebec City felt like landing on Mars. The rental apartment stove baffled him, so McDonald's became breakfast, lunch, and dinner until a kindly neighbor scrawled directions to the nearest IGA on a napkin. Even the rink shrank overnight, 26 feet narrower than Swedish ice, giving defensemen a head start to crush him against the boards. Sundin adapted by engineering the Sundin spin, plant left skate, swing right hip wide, whip 180 degrees like a human shield, then thread a pass through startled legs. He drilled it until trainers turned out the Colisée lights, sometimes enlisting backup goalie Ron Tugnut to fire medicine balls at him for extra balance work. Language barriers bit just as hard. Reporters peppered him in rapid-fire French, so he carried pocket notebooks of new phrases and practiced them on cab drivers. The breakthrough came December 1st, 1990. 3-point night versus Montreal, plus a sliding shot block that drew blood and gasps in equal measure. The local headline read, "Le géant silencieux dit bonjour." By season 3, he logged penalty kill minutes, took defensive zone draws, and spent summer break power skating with Swedish Marines to toughen each stride. The European finesse kid label had officially expired. Toronto had finished a soul-sapping 17th overall when news broke. Sundin, Wendell Clark's cult hero aura, and 2 others were swapping jerseys. Fans mourned Clark, but Mats wasted 0 daylight. He landed at Pearson Airport, dropped bags at the hotel, and texted every Leaf he could find. Team dinner, Harbor 60, my treat. He mixed seating cards so rookies traded stories with 15-year vets, then picked up the tab without a word. At training camp, he set another tone. First on the ice, last off, lugging buckets of pucks to the storage room rather than leaving them for equipment staff. His Maple Leaf baptism came opening night in Winnipeg. A goal, 2 assists, and, more telling, 6 hits that rattled the glass. Reporters assumed quiet deference. Instead, he told them, "If I'm here only to score, we'll fail." Over the next 3 seasons, he stacked 90-plus points twice, but the hidden metric was participation. Every player attended voluntary 7 a.m. summer skates because Sundin's truck was already in the parking lot. When Coach Mike Murphy posed that famous 1997 captaincy question, Mats illustrated his answer with a promise. Give me a 4th-line winger for a week. I'll give you a 2nd-line contributor. 12 months later, that winger, Darby Hendrickson, hit a career high in goals. The culture shift was undeniable, and Toronto's compass finally pointed north again. Sundin's resume already read like a clutch performance anthology, but his greatest hits press harder when you zoom in. January 8th, 2000, Leafs trailed 5-1 halfway through the 3rd against Ottawa, the ACC crowd howling for refunds. Matt slid down the bench, told every skater one specific thing they'd done right, and jump-started the most electric comeback in franchise history. 2 snipes, 3 helpers, a 6-5 final. Yet he wasn't done rewriting drama. Later that season, in Game 6 versus Pittsburgh, he won both an offensive zone draw and the series with the same flick of the wrists. Face-off win, pivot, top corner wrister, see you later Penguins. His knack for late-game heroics bordered on the paranormal. 14 career OT winners in blue and white, including a record-tying 3 in a single 2001 campaign, each delivered with the same calm stroll to center ice, as if he'd been expecting sudden death from puck drop. When critics labeled him a quiet superstar, teammates countered that clutch noise is measured on the scoreboard, not the sound meter. The 2006 shorthanded hat trick plus 500th goal is iconic, but so is the blocking clinic he put on against New Jersey later that spring. 4 shots denied on 1 penalty kill before he sprinted up ice to feed the go-ahead tally. By retirement, he'd stacked 79 game winners total, a Maple Leaf record and testament that when the seconds bled fastest, Sundin's heart rate barely moved. Great captains inspire. Mats owned the patent on finishing. In an era when even generational icons chase late career rentals for one more cup swing, Sundin's refusal landed like a thunderclap. The Leafs, 7 points adrift of 8th, asked politely, waive the clause, we'll fetch first rounders and you'll get your playoff shot elsewhere. Sports radio melted. Call-in lines split Toronto into 2 philosophical camps: asset management versus honor. Newspapers ran countdown clocks to the deadline. Columnists called it selfish, others sainthood. Amid the frenzy, Mats kept the same routine: 6:30 a.m. coffee, solo video review, captain's hour after practice. He told reporters, I won't rent myself out because leadership isn't Airbnb. Behind closed doors, he explained deeper logic. He'd spent a decade preaching that every player, from rookie to backup goalie, owed the room unwavering accountability. If he bolted now, the creed would crumble. He chose legacy over hardware, fully aware it might cost him the only missing line on his resume. Even rival GMS admitted respect. Ken Holland said, Mats just showed the league there's a value you can't trade. Ironically, the Rangers and Canadiens pursued him furiously that summer when free agency erased moral gray areas. Instead, he rested, re-signed in December with Vancouver on his own timetable, then eliminated the Blues in his first playoff round since 2004. Proof the fire still burned. His Maple Leaf statue hasn't materialized yet, but the lesson he taught 80,000 season ticket holders endures. The captaincy is not a commodity, it's a covenant. Matt Sundin's most influential victories happened far from highlight reels. When Alexander Mogilny slipped into a depressive fog in 2003, Mats didn't settle for "we're here for you." He cold-called Stockholm University's psychology department, arranged private workshops, and convinced management to fund ongoing mental wellness programs, years before the NHL rolled out league-wide initiatives. Trainers recall Sundin sitting through every seminar beside rookies, notebook open, modeling curiosity. The message was simple: if the captain takes this seriously, so will you. Then came Captain's Hour, a ritual born accidentally when Sundin noticed a nervous call-up lingering after practice. He stayed to run face-off drills, and word spread like free Wi-Fi. Soon third-pair defensemen, taxi squad forwards, even veteran goaltenders queued for the open ice masterclass. Tips on angling hits without drawing penalties, body position hacks, and net front scrums. Conversational Swedish for future world travel. Over 13 seasons seasons, 74 different line mates absorbed those lessons, 12 posted career best years, 3 now coach using Captain's Hour clones. William Nylander jokes that Mats taught me puck protection by trying to steal my phone one-handed in the hallway. The ripple widened across the Atlantic. Swedish junior programs hauled out skinny stick drills and introduced weighted puck circuits labeled Sundin-style shield work, forcing prospects to guard the biscuit with hips instead of just speed. Today, power forwards like Gabriel Landeskog credit that curriculum for their board battle swagger. Charity followed skill. Mats funneled appearance fees into youth rink upgrades, ensuring every district in Stockholm had indoor ice by 2015. Numbers still stagger: 1,349 points, 564 goals. But his truest metric might be invisible: a generation of players who equate greatness with elevating every teammate in sight because one quiet giant proved it could be done. Induction Night 2012. Spotlight skimmed a sea of legends who normally measure greatness in Stanley Cups and Art Ross trophies. Sundin stepped to the lectern and instead of reading a resume, unfurled a thank you scroll. The massage therapist who kept a creaky hip playable. The fourth line grinder who once sacrificed a shift so Mats could take a key draw. Even the Maple Leafs receptionist who slipped Swedish candy into his mail slot during losing streaks. Each name came paired with the precise moment they'd nudged his game or spirit forward. The plaque that followed broke tradition, skipping gaudy adjectives for a single line, elevated everyone around him, and he's still proving it. Every September he slips into Leafs rookie camp unannounced, baseball cap low, Hall of Fame ring pocketed, just to spar in corner battle drills and whisper tiny tweaks on stick blade angles. In Sweden, his annual charity golf classic has funded 24 community rinks and a national mental health hotline for junior athletes. When the IIHF invited him to mentor Team Sweden's 2026 Olympic squad, he asked only for one perk: open access to the under-18 practices so he could teach the Sundin spin firsthand. Numbers got him through the Hall's bronze doors. The unfinished lesson, led by lifting, keeps him walking back out to share it. Super teams build by stacking highlight machines. Yet Matt Sundin thrived without a perennial all-star on his wing. Over 1,349 points in 1,346 games, yes, but the bigger stat lives invisible. Every practice he convinced ordinary players they were capable of the extraordinary. Today's NHL brims with speed, salary, and social media spotlights, but something subtler still wins championships. A leader who learns every teammate's struggle, shows up early, eats last, and refuses the easy exit. The next time a franchise hunts for its missing ingredient, maybe it shouldn't chase the loudest superstar or the most lethal shot. Maybe, like Toronto once did, it needs the quiet giant who simply won't let the room quit. So ask yourself, in a league obsessed with splashy moves and deadline deals, who will be brave enough to stay when leaving looks smarter on paper? Whoever that is might just forge the next dynasty, one unselfish shift at a time.